Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel like chemistry. I won't let no one.
Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This video is a video that I've been wanting to film for years now. I've literally had this video idea in my book for years, okay? This is my fear of driving video and how I kind of got over it. I've gotten this question asked a lot of times on my Instagram as well, because I've always been really open about hating driving and not being able to do driving, and how driving just scares the shit out of me. I wasn't going to film this video, but recently I got into a car accident in February, and that's also why I haven't been posting. That accident just brought back all those memories of me hating driving, my anxiety with driving, and it was awful. But this time around I had a therapist to talk about it with. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I'm gonna talk about is like how my fear of driving started, I guess, or just my whole driving journey. I also have everything written down in here, so if you see me looking down, that is why. I just feel like fear of driving should be something that should be talked about more. A lot of people are really embarrassed that they don't have their driver's license, or that they just don't know how to drive, or that they don't like to drive. They're like shunned upon. When I was in high school, I never learned how to drive. I never was in like driving school or anything like that. I never got my permit in high school. As soon as I turned 18, I bought my first car all by myself, and it was a brand new car. It was a Kia Forte 2017 car. I never learned how to drive before buying the car, because I just thought, oh well, I need a car in order to learn how to drive first, so I'm just gonna buy a car and then I'll learn how to drive. So that was my thought process. So I was still really scared to drive. I would kind of drive along my street. I was working on getting my permit, so I was studying for that. I passed and got my permit, so I did end up getting my permit. I think it took me 2 tries to get my permit. So I did end up getting my permit, and with that my dad started teaching me to just drive around my neighborhood. But then I ended up moving out, and then before that my boyfriend had my car because he got into an accident and he needed a car, and I didn't drive, so I'm like, oh, just take my car, use my car whenever. So he had my car, so my teaching from my dad was like delayed, and then I moved out, so then my dad wasn't teaching me anymore, but I was living with my boyfriend. So during the time I was living with my boyfriend would give me rides to work, he would give me rides to the store, he would give me rides wherever the heck I needed to go, the doctor, wherever. He was my Uber. During that time, whenever I got into a car to drive, I just got so much anxiety, and things that I noticed with my anxiety, my heart rate was crazy. My heart felt like it was gonna come out of my chest. My hands would be sweaty. My head couldn't concentrate on anything. I was like very out of focus. Now I know that that is dissociating, and I literally just hated driving. So time had passed and it quickly turned into 2018. In 2018, my permit had expired because a permit only lasts 1 year. So I had to go and retake my permit test. And that one I passed in literally the first try. And that one, what I actually did was I went on YouTube and searched 2018 permit questions, and I passed it like that. So if you need to pass your permit, that's the easiest way I found to work. I still wasn't able to drive. I would get anxiety, but now that I had my permit, Kenny would accompany me to go to work. Like, he would be on the passenger side and I would be on the driver's side. But I was still really scared. I was like driving under the speed limit. It was bad. I did not like driving, and it started to get harder, you know, for him to like take me to work, take me to the store, because you know, he also had a job and a life. And I started to feel like a burden on people. Like every time I needed to go to work or I needed to go somewhere, I needed a ride from somebody, and I felt like in my head I was a burden to people, and I'm not exactly sure why I felt that, but I just always felt like an inconvenience to people, and that really made me not want to hang out with anybody. So same year, December 2018, Kenny had an accident. Because of this, I was forced to drive, okay? Kenny's foot, his right foot, the one he drives with, was injured, and we couldn't go anywhere. We couldn't go to the store. Like, his parents would have to drive us, and again, a burden. Like, they have lives too, they have things to do, they couldn't always take us everywhere. So this time I remember, sorry, it's really windy where I live. This time I remember that I just had to force myself to drive, and this wasn't a situation like I was tense and somebody was forcing me to drive. This was a situation where it was like, frick, I need to learn how to drive this car, because if I don't drive this car, then I can't go to this place. And I think the situation was I needed to get Christmas presents for people. For some reason, I thought of that as like an emergency, and it made me want to drive that car because I needed to go get Christmas presents for people. So Kenny again was in the passenger side and I was driving, and I drove to that store, and I parked, and it was shitty parking, but I freaking did it. And that was the first time in my life that I had driven somewhere, just kind of like on a mission, and I did it, and I was anxious as hell, but I did it. After this, I started to crave driving more. Once you do it just because you want to get out of the house or because you want to go get a Starbucks drink, it gets easier as the time goes on. So during this time, Kenny would still help me with my driving, and we were still kind of like practicing. I started driving to work more, obviously with him as my passenger. In January, I got my driver's license. And let me tell you, I don't think I should have gotten my driver's license that day. And I don't know why the instructor gave me my driver's license. Story time. So when I went to go get my driver's license, first of all, I was freaking out, and everybody was telling me, hey, go to this place because this guy is really nice and he gave me my driver's license. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna do that. So I went with that guy. Super freaking nice. I get in my car, I start my car. He tells me right away, he's like, what do you do at a green light that doesn't have an arrow but you're turning? I was like, you yield and then you go if other cars aren't going. He was like, okay, great. What do I do? Literally, I'm about to turn, even though he just told me what to do. Then I started driving, and he literally said, slow down, you're going to kill us. That's not something you want to hear from your driving instructor. At that point, I thought, okay, I have failed this test. He told me turn here, he told me stop, park, you know, and I was about to start crying. And I think he saw how anxious I was, and he stopped me and he told me, look, anxiety is just something that is in your head. Get it out of your head. Focus on what you are doing right now. Don't get into your head. And he gave me like a little pep talk, and after that he told me exactly what to do. He said reverse. He said go this way. Okay, stop in 3, 2, 1. Okay, go. Okay, turn left. Okay, go. Okay, stop. Like, he was giving me detail to detail instructions on how to pass this test. When we went back to the DMV, he told me, I know this experience was really hard for you and that your anxiety must be going through the roof right now, but you did it. I'm gonna pass you. And the only reason I'm gonna pass you is because you need your license in order to practice more. And so he was really helpful, really nice. That was the worst experience I've ever had to go through. But it definitely taught me some things. 2 weeks later, I decide, let me go drive my car for the first time. So I go to my mom's house, then I go to where my boyfriend was. He was at a friend's house, and then he's like, oh, you want me to drive back? And I was like, no, I got this. Crash. I get in a car crash. It was a rainy night. I'm not gonna get into detail. I got in a car crash. It was a really traumatic experience for me. I was going through so much anxiety, and then at the same time in my life I was going through a shitty job experience. Like, everything in my life I felt was like tumbling down on me. I couldn't get out of bed. My anxiety was through the freaking roof. And when I say this, it was through the roof. Like, I was getting panic attacks almost every day. I couldn't keep food down. I was like having the runs, all these stomach issues. And it just has to do with like work and this, and everything in my life was just combining and stressing me out. In July 2019, I ended up getting a new job. And it was getting harder to do with rides because my other job worked with me with the whole ride situation. They understood this new job, it's a new job. I didn't want to come at them with all these issues that I'm having, you know? So it was getting harder for me to get rides, and I was starting to kind of like freak out a little bit. August 2019, and I will include videos and pictures of all of these things that I'm mentioning if I can find them, because it has been a while. Kenny surprised me, and he told me, he had called me and told me, hey, I'm gonna have a friend pick you up and take you to his house because I just got pulled over by the cops and they're impounding my car. And in my head, I'm freaking the fuck out because that was the only source of transportation that we had. And I was like, really? Like, what the hell are we gonna do now? So Kenny comes to pick me up, and I go outside and he hands me these keys, and I'm like, what is this? He had bought me a car. It was the cutest little car ever. It was a Toyota car. It was so cute. I freaking fell in love with that car, and I can't believe Kenny did that for me. So he basically forced me to drive because he told me, here's a car, drive. So he did that for me. That was really sweet, the sweetest thing ever. And that car was amazing. Something that I really learned from this whole experience was get a used car first, because you're new in driving, you're gonna have accidents, you're gonna crash your bumper, you're gonna curb your wheels, you're gonna do all these little things that are gonna annoy you if you do it with like a new car. At least that's how I felt. So basically, I just started forcing myself to drive to work, obviously from point A to point B, and that was literally the only place I would drive. Home, work, work, home, work, home, home, work. Every single day, that's the only place I would go. On my days off, I would not go anywhere. I still would get scared getting in that car every single day, and to this day I still get scared getting in a car. It's like pre-anxiety. Basically, anytime I need to leave the house, anytime I know I'm about to get in the car, I get pre-anxiety. And it's only really if I'm driving, someone else is driving, I don't really get anxiety like that. Maybe just a little bit, but not to the extreme that I do. So again, little by little, I started to crave things. Like, I would take myself to work, and then after work I would be like, I really want to go to TJ Maxx right now and get a cute bag, but Kenny was working and this and that, like what am I gonna do? And then I'd be like, you know what, just drive. So I would drive myself and I would go get myself a bag, and this would also help with my social anxiety because I would be by myself doing my own things. And this is where I just felt like I was thriving. I was able to do little things like that on my own, and it felt amazing. One thing that I felt really helped was my senses, being able to focus. And I felt like what was really scary about me driving is me not being able to control the situation. I'm somebody that loves to control everything around me. I love things to be a certain way in my life, and if it's not, get out of my way. So driving was one of those things that was really, really scary to me because I couldn't control it. I couldn't control if this guy was about to swerve in my lane. I couldn't control if the wind was about to get crazy and push my car over, you know? So, but again, it's just things getting in my head. So I had to get out of my head while I was driving. And for me, the only way to do that was to listen to music and sing. So music and singing in the car were my number one thing. It would keep me focused. It would keep me focused on the song, keep me focused on the road. Something that I also love doing that really helps me, and I still do it to this day, even if I know where the hell I'm going, GPS. I always put GPS on, always, even if I'm going to my mom's house, even if I'm going to the place that I've been working at for 20 years. I haven't worked somewhere for that long, but even if I was going there, I would put GPS because it helps me so much. And I love it because if there's like a road that's closed, GPS will be like, hey, this road is closed, let's go this way. Or if there's traffic, it'll be like, there's traffic here. So I don't know, it's a way of preparing myself without being prepared. And so I was getting really good at driving. I started driving myself everywhere. I started doing things by myself. I was thriving. I ended up getting a new car in 2020, which was a Kia Forte GT. And once I got that car, I felt like brand new. I started driving everywhere I needed to drive, and I felt great driving. I started going to the gym. I started doing all these things, and I felt like I was finally thriving in driving. That all came to an end pretty quick because this year in February, I got into a car accident, and it was the most shittiest thing ever. This time I crashed into a person, and it just sucked. Again, I'm not gonna go into it because I just hate talking about it, but I cried. I was hysterical. I didn't know how to deal with it. I called my mom, I called my boyfriend. I was freaking out. It was just a really bad situation. Right away, as soon as I got home and the next day, I could feel that I was going to have a bad time, and I did. I started getting anxiety, panic attacks. I didn't want to do anything, stuff like that. I didn't want to go out. I delayed calling the insurance people because I was freaking out about the whole situation. And the person that I crashed with was actually so sweet. He had to call an ambulance because he was like an older gentleman, and he wanted to make sure that he was all right because he was on medications and stuff. And so that kind of scared me, and he made sure to tell the insurance people, like, he wanted me to know that everything was okay with him and that things like this happen, and they're called accidents for a reason. And the most important thing was that we were both safe and nothing happened to us. And that's really what it is. And I know you hate to hear it, but it is. You are safe, and that is the most important thing. Cars can get fixed. Yes, it fucks up your schedule, and if you're like me, scheduling is everything. So I'm still dealing with car anxiety, and I still don't have my car back. About 3 days after I got into the car accident, I had talked to my therapist, and this was a different thing for this time around. I had help. Last time I was not getting any help. I wasn't able to. So this time it really helped me out, and I'll talk to you guys about that now. So I talked to my therapist, and I told her, you know, I feel like I'm going down the same road again that I was the first time I got into a car accident. And you know, I've never ever had issues with cars. I wasn't in car accidents when I was younger. Well, I was, but they weren't severe, they weren't crazy. I wasn't like ever, like, I was just scared of driving for some reason, and I think it just came from anxiety and all these other little factors in my life. And I was telling her, I think I'm going down a bad road again. The day after I got into a car accident, I went with Kenny to his doctor's appointment. I had to stop at the store to grab something. It was like the Dollar Tree. You know, usually those stores are very like quiet. There's not a lot of people there. I went in and I started like not being able to concentrate. I was freaking out. Now that I'm been going to therapy, I know that's called dissociating. I was dissociating and I was having anxiety and I had to leave. I dropped my items and I left because I wasn't having it. I just couldn't deal with it. Grocery stores, stuff like that were stimulating me more, were being too much for me, and those things bothered me before. Like when I had gotten into my first accident, I was very antisocial, always had social anxiety. Me getting this car and driving really helped me get out of my shell because I was doing things on my own. I was going to stores alone. I was doing things that I would like to do on my own. So driving really was kind of like an escape for me. So when I got into the second accident, I told her I'm going down the same road. Like, I need help because it's just gonna keep getting worse and worse and worse. She told me, the number one thing you have to do, and you have to do this fast, is get in that car. Because if you don't get in that car and you don't drive, you're gonna have a really hard time getting back to driving, and you're not gonna want to drive for a very long time. The more you procrastinate something, the more you're gonna keep not doing it, the more your brain is gonna think about it, the more you're gonna cycle around it, the more you're gonna become obsessed with it. So literally just do it. And I know it's cliche and I know it's not what you want to hear, but that's the number one first step. You have to do it. If you don't do it, you're gonna obsess over it, you're gonna get anxiety over it, you're gonna think about it every single hour, every single minute of the day. That's all you're gonna think about in your brain. And I don't know if it makes sense to you, but it makes sense to me. So when she told me that, I told my boyfriend, I was like, okay, my therapist said to do this and that. He's like, okay, let's go to the store right now. I was like, I don't want to do that. And he said, no, come on, like, let's go to the store. And I said, okay, if I go to the store, I'm not going in the store, I'll just drive there, which we live probably 5 minutes away from a store. So I got into his car. Wait, no, actually, I got into my little brother's car because we had to borrow it because Kenny had also been in a car accident, so we both didn't have our cars. So I went into my brother's car and I drove it. And I drove it to the store and I parked it, and it made me feel better, and it made me realize, wow, that wasn't hard. I can do that. So little by little, I started doing that again. Obviously, I have a job, I have to do things. I'm an adult. Boyfriend's car ended up getting fixed, so we returned my brother's car and I started driving Kenny's car, which I hate his car because he has a Stinger GT and it's so wide and it's like fast and I don't like it. And so in order for me to get over my driving fear, something I started doing was not taking the main road. I would take the back roads to things, and I still take the back roads a lot of the times because it leans me off of that anxiety feeling. I just feel like in the main road I'm gonna have a lot of issues, and so I'm just avoiding that road for now. I still take it every once in a while, but I try not to take it as often because it's been a little crazy lately. Again, music has been helping me, the GPS has been helping me. You'll find your niches and things that help you with getting over your anxiety. Maybe it's having your dog in your car, maybe it's having your boyfriend in your car, maybe it's playing classical music, maybe it's listening to a podcast. Like, there's all these little things that you have to figure out for yourself what helps you, and you're not gonna know that until you officially do it, which I know isn't what you want to hear. You want to hear, oh, if you touch your nose 3 times and blink once, you'll be cured and you won't have a fear of driving anymore. And something I still have not done is gone on the freeway. Nope, haven't touched it. I was actually recently like craving going on the freeway. Before I got into my car accident, I was like, I'm gonna get on the freeway, like I want to get on it and I want to drive it, because I started getting more comfortable with driving. Once I got into that car accident, I will not touch the freeway. The thought of the freeway has not touched my mind, and that's okay. Everything is gonna be slowly progressing, but hey, we're progressing. I have not gone anywhere in my boyfriend's car. I haven't gone to the store. Usually I would go to the store weekly. I don't go anymore. If my friends are hanging out, I try not to drive his car because I just don't like his car. I want my baby back. I want my car back because it made me comfortable. And I feel like once I get my car back, I'll be able to do all the old things that I was originally doing. And yeah, that's the video. That's my fear of driving, how I'm dealing with it, how I kind of got over it, even though I'm technically not over it and I'm still dealing with it, kind of like all of you that have asked me questions on Instagram, which, by the way, if you're not following me there, follow me. I talk to a lot of you guys on there, and yeah, it's just a nice little community. That's where I interact the most. Yeah, there's that video that I wanted to film for so many years, forgot about it, got into an accident. Here I am. So I guess one good thing came out of that accident. That's it for today's video, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye!
Baby, you don't know what you do to me. Between me and you, I feel a chemistry. I won't let no one come and take your place. 'Cause the love you give, you can't